Welcome to Bears on Tap, hosted by Quentin Q. Crisco, Samir Patel, Sonny Verma, and the one and only Ron Luce. Bringing you all the news, analysis, and opinions on the charter franchise, Chicago Bears.
Some people ran on adrenaline. Some people are running on no sleep. Some people are doing all the above. Because whether you believe it or not, even after a night of dreaming, the Chicago Bears are on to the NFC quarter finals after defeating the Green Bay Packers. Good morning, everybody. Holy hell, what a morning it is. I'm Ron Luce, joined by the one and only Mr. Sonny Verma. Sonny, first off, how are you feeling, man? It's electric.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those where don't pinch me if this is a dream. If I went to bed super late last night, we're celebrating my son's 5th birthday, and just watching that game and watching this team. I mean, you're talking about an example of what the season has been like. That game was the perfect example of everything. But, you know, it's just we dreamed of times like this, Ron. In an hour span, our favorite baseball team made a splash that nobody thought they were going to make. And all of a sudden, I felt like the vibes changed as soon as that announcement happened, because our favorite football team all of a sudden had one of the most miraculous comebacks in Chicago sports, NFL history. And it's a good time to be alive.
It's a great time to be alive. What a game it was. Good morning, Scott from Iowa. Last night was not a dream. It was always Chicago. Bear down. And we also got another one here. And Farius. What a game. It's a great to be a Chicago Bears fan. And yes, it is. And Sonny, you put it perfectly. And I'll tell you what, this first off, what a fun football game to watch.
Oh, yeah.
What a fun football game to watch. This was absolutely spectacular. It is a great day to be a Bears fan. Football is fun, Q. You are right. We miss you this morning, good sir. Safe travels to you, our good friend. We'll see you very, very soon when it's all said and done. But, Sonny, I'll tell you what. I was amidst a group of friends taking in this game last night, and my parents and my wife and even my mother-in-law was there. We were getting down watching the Bears. And there was something in my gut going into that football game last night. I don't know what it was. I wasn't nervous. Everybody else I talked to, nervous. They're nervous. There's so much riding on this. I'm a mental mess. I was like, yeah, I'll probably be nervous during the game. I said, but I have a confidence about this team. Something's different with this Bears team. And even when it was 21-3, I kept looking at everybody. Now, granted, I had joked with everybody at that point that my soul was sold to the devil at some point in that first half. Honey bears, black cats, it doesn't matter. We were exercising demons last night, and the Chicago Bears exercised demons because, Sonny, not only did they beat the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs, it's only we talked about it in the preview show. It's only the third time that has ever happened where the Bears and Packers have played in the NFL playoffs. And then on top of that, they also exercised the demons of the all blue jerseys. Because prior to that, friend of the program, Brendan Shagru, did a little research. Since at least 1960, which is pretty much when at least the research went back to, it was zeros in terms of the win column for the Bears when wearing the all blue. And they completely changed the momentum. The stream got me so hyped. I could build a house, tear it down, rebuild it, and then rip off its foundation. I think that's a great expression of how every Bears fan feels. And Crooked Commish is right. How are you guys enjoying your hangover? I'm loving mine. I am also enjoying. I'm running on adrenaline and just pure fumes, Sonny, because I don't think the city of Chicago slept last night. I really don't.
No. We're all waiting for that good, better, best video, and then even that. I don't know about you. I watched that Caleb 4th and 8 throw. Like if it's possible to break your phone from watching a single 13-second video too often, I would have accomplished that feat last night. It was just one of those where, you know, the good, better, best video came out. Then you just saw the whole post-game speech from Ben Johnson and then Caleb Williams giving the ball back to Ben Johnson for his first ever playoff victory as head coach. I didn't want to go to bed, right? Like, how seldomly, like, when was the last time we had a win like that? You're talking about maybe the NFC Championship game to get to the Super Bowl, you know, a couple decades ago, it feels like at this point. But to have this, like, I think you're right. It was 21-3, and I certainly didn't feel good. Okay. But I remember I was shooting texts with some of my group chats. It's like, maybe this, you know, Ben Johnson really struggled in that first half, and maybe this is just going to be a learning experience for him moving forward. I feel confident that, you know, this is not going to happen again. My mindset at that point was not a frustration like, we screwed up the one chance that we had, but hey, you know what? Our young coach was a little too aggressive in that first half, got a little too cute. I think he's going to learn from this, and we're going to get better next year. Ron, we got better that second half.
The next hour.
He learned his lesson real quick. You know, credit. Well, I'm going to talk about him later. Dennis Allen, whatever adjustments that they made at halftime completely worked. You scored that 25 points in the fourth quarter. I mean, it's one of those where I still don't want to sleep. I'm not going to want to sleep tonight. I'm going to replay the same videos I did. I'm going to watch every post-game show. Every single Chicago Bears content creator out there is going to get a click from me today, because there's not enough Chicago Bears content out there for me. I want it all.
I think everybody wants it all, man. And that's the beauty of this. That's the beauty of when the Bears are good, is there's nothing in this world that gets Chicago more excited than when the Chicago Bears are good. And it trickles off and it bleeds, right? We've seen it bleed into other franchises in the city. The Cubs did something that we didn't believe was going to happen last night. The Chicago Bulls and Blackhawks both won respective games. It was a full Chicago evening. Hell, even PCA was out at Soldier Field rooting on his boy Caleb as they took on the Packers. Scott from Iowa says here, the Packers are going to be the toughest matchup the rest of the playoffs. They know the Bears are the best, and he's thinking the Bears will have 2 more home games. And I think that's a chance. Action Stacks here said it. Niners. I think a lot of Bears fans are riding that train today as they take on the Eagles, because I think everybody wants a rematch from Week 17, and this time at home. Do I have a preference?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I don't
care. I don't care. Like, you know what, Sonny? I it's funny because I know a lot of people like have had those discussions with like friends and inner circles and family and things like that, and like, we kind of talked about this last night amongst myself and other people I spoke to, and even people I texted and whatever. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's still the playoffs. Like, it's going to matter just as much. And everybody's like, well, isn't it nice when it's just easy to cruise to it? No, it almost feels better when it's kind of hard, because then you're going to look back on it and say, wow, like that was electric. Like this game. Looking back on it, it wasn't easy. They had to fight tooth and nail, claw their way back into this football game in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter, and come away with a victory when it was all said and done. I will say this. We are worried a little bit about the health of our good friend Q. For those that might not realize, Q lives in Philadelphia. Says if the Bears get the birds, y'all might need to pray for me. We might need to. We might need to, indeed. Cyber Johnny says here in the playoffs, every team, every game is a crapshoot. Each individual game comes down to errors and luck. Consistency of what happened in the regular season goes right out the window. I completely agree. Well said, Cyber Johnny.
Like, that's why I'm not worried about who we play.
Yeah.
You know, it's not one of those teams it's one of those seasons where it's just like, let's put the ball down and hike it. Let's just play. You know, it's a team like, again, you never know. Until Caleb Williams said, what was the quote? Until it's got zeros on the scoreboard, just look up and see what the final score is. If we go into next game being, you know, touchdown underdogs, fine. If we're field goal favorites, fine. I just don't think that matters with this football team.
No.
It's this fun.
It is fun, man. And you're right. I don't think it does matter. I think they look at every single game right now. And again, I think that's the difference with this Bears team. I think this Ben Johnson led team is different because it doesn't matter who they play. They have an irrational belief. Dare I say they are almost too young, dumb, and naive to care about what the odds makers tell them, or what the public says, or what the greater talking heads say. They don't care.
I mean, in a lot of ways, this Packers team was probably the worst matchup for the Bears in the sense of this magical season. Like, we all thought it in the back of our heads, as improbable of a year as the Bears had, if the Packers ended up winning 2 out of 3 against you and knocking you out of the playoffs, that loss would linger all offseason long and just culturally. We're excited as Bears fans of the season we just had and that comeback that we had in the previous game. But ultimately, if the Packers had the last laugh, that would have carried on over to next season and moving forward. Now, I hate to say that we're playing with house money because I know the locker room does not believe that. But I think when you talk about impact and pressure, I feel like that Packers game had more pressure to win when it comes to overall organizational standpoint than if we play the Rams or the Niners or the Eagles next week.
1,000%. And I'm gonna plug a fellow Bears contributor of ours here at this website, Todd Welter over at OnTabSportsNet.com, wrote up a beautiful article actually prior to the Lions game about what does a potential Bears Packers matchup in the playoffs mean? Like what could be the, I guess, kind of the end results of that? What are some things to consider? What are some things to keep in mind? And that was the biggest thing, in my opinion, that I took away from that was if your bitter rival gets that third game in the quote unquote tiebreaker, right, of sorts, it's going to sit as a bad taste all offseason. But at the same time, a win over the Packers literally feels like an exorcism of demons, in the sense of the one team that you couldn't beat for the last 20 plus years, you slayed the dragon en route to the castle. And I think that makes it almost feel a little more sweet, even, dare I say, knowing again that you have to go through that team, because like Action Stack said here, competition makes the championship that much more difficult and important. 100%, man. And it really, I think it turned up the volume of this game. And like Cyber Johnny says here, love the playoffs, Rams fan. But here out extra game, every extra game is fun. He says if his guys lose, it'll be a shame. Same goes for all of our teams. The last big game is all that matters. 100%. And you got to take it 1 week at a time. You got to keep going, because all these teams have the same goal in mind. It's not just, hey, we want to win one playoff game. No, of course not. They all want to be playing for the Lombardi Trophy when we get to February. And I think that's obviously what everybody's keeping in mind. A quick Bear Don and Da Bears from David here in the comments section. And, Sonny, I'll tell you what, Scott from Iowa nailed it. Alex Bregman already out there on IG flying the Bears flag. Says credit to him for signing with the Cubs last night and motivating the Bears to win. Hey, man, the timing of everything was absolutely hilarious. And it almost felt kind of magical. And that was kind of my favorite part of this game, Sonny, when it's all said and done, is this game reinforced what this Bears team's been about all season. And that's, they are literally not out of it until you can't let them play any more football. And that is the most dangerous team, because you can talk about talent, you can talk about, luck, and you can talk about whatever you want when it comes to the NFL playoffs, because it's all true, and I think it's all meaningful. But irrational belief in yourselves, no matter what, is the single greatest weapon that a team can have, because it's a mindset. Like, it's truly, I know a lot of people are, you only believe so much, it's whatever, but like, it's almost manifestation of, we're always in this football game, we're not out of it, and you can't tell us we're out of it. And because of that, if I'm any other team in the NFC, I don't want to see the Bears. for that exact reason, because of what they bring to the table in terms of just that, again, almost naive nature that they think they can win every football game, no matter what the score is at any given point.
And, it's kind of bled through everybody, right? It's not just the locker room. It's not just the quarterback. It's not just like the entire roster. I admit, last night I could not sleep. And how did I spend my non-sleeping hours? Was it looking at Chicago Bears post games? No, absolutely not. What I decided to do was go ahead and check out how our neighbors to the north and those post game shows and all the Green Bay Packers commentators. And I'm not kidding you when I say that 90% of them were saying that crowd, that they got nervous because they felt the energy in that crowd. That crowd has seen it all year long, they talked about. And once the Bears made one or two plays, they're talking about how the crowd itself, that sold out Soldier Field. I had cousins at the game who've been season ticket holders for years and years say it's never been as loud as it was last night. That confidence has carried over from the football team to us, the fan base. And that makes, like what you said, it's a daunting challenge for any team. Sure, the Rams can come in here next week, be 5.5-point favorites. Everyone is going to say, well, the Rams are clearly the better football team. Doesn't matter, because you can't convince me that the Rams are a shoo-in to beat the Chicago Bears, and you can't convince Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson. They're on a mission. And it's for the first time I can honestly say, the Bears are a pretty beaten down franchise when it comes to our fan base, especially because of the beatdowns we've gotten from our most heated rival over the past couple decades. But the mindset has changed. I don't think ever collectively, I'm trying to think, where a team and its fan base are just so linked with the same sort of mindset, like bring it on. Down 21-3, it's popular for the fans to give up on the team, but the team itself doesn't give up, or vice versa. Right now, both are together, linked in, and ready to go win a football game, despite what the score is at whatever point.
The irrational belief is such just a fun thing to be a part of at this point in time. David Matthews says here in the comments, he says he wasn't a Caleb believer until last night. He willed the team to victory and was absolutely fearless. And I think fearless is a really good word. Like, they're not concerned. Like, Caleb Williams can be running around for his life, and he doesn't panic. And it's that, right? We watched the Packers have a guy that would, the red Superman cape would bleed out of the collar of his jersey at the end of games, and they would somehow, some way, under a cool, calm, collective leader, find a way to win football games. And now it feels like that tide has really shifted here, right? And it's kind of Caleb now, sitting there and getting it done. Gregory Bears, of course. Are these games scripted? Packers put on the brakes multiple times this year after dominating. I don't think they're scripted, man. I can tell you right now, as a former football player at a far less talent level, but no player plays the game for something to be scripted. Doesn't matter how much money those guys are getting paid when it's all said and done. On a serious note here from Cyber Johnny, who also, by the way, joked a little bit earlier about no Chiefs in sight, which is always fun. He says, on a serious note, don't be like Eagles fans. Us fans need to show love, even though it goes sideways at this point. All the teams are great. I hate hearing Eagles fans boo their own. Yeah, I don't like Eagles fans. I think I'm on record on this show of saying that I think that's a goofy fan base. They're quick. Anybody on that East Coast is very quick to turn on their team when things aren't going right. And I don't really think the Bears are that way. Like, if the Bears are going to get booed, it's for good reason, and it doesn't happen very often. And a lot of that, the Bears booing in recent years, just came from frustration of the fans, because there's no fan base in football that craves their team to be good more than the Chicago Bears.
My wife's from New York, and she says the same thing. She works in the city, and she talks about Chicago being such a sports town, but she's like, I walk around in the hospital, and when the Bears are good, that's the one that's got the morale higher than anybody else. Look, she's married to me, so I ramble on about the Bulls, the Blackhawks, the Cubs, all of that to her. But for her, as a neutral, she came in as a Giants fan, but she's kind of essentially just gone ahead and converted. She had the Bears jersey on last night. She'll vouch for it. Again, this is an unbiased view. She just says that the city energy is just different when the Bears are in this situation. And it's easy for her to say because it's not like this happens every year. She noticed that this year in particular that there's just a different pep in the step of even her coworkers.
Yeah, it's real, man. It's 100% real. And when people start to see it, and I think a lot of people are in the same boat as Randall here. Randall said, I went to bed fully expecting Green Bay to win that football game. I think a lot of people did.
I'm literally getting text messages as we're recording right now from a buddy who's not a football guy who left the game when the score is 21-6. And he's like, I just checked the score. What? How did that happen? And I haven't responded because I'm online with you right now. But there's a lot of people who are waking up like that.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what they missed last night.
Yeah. And talk about what you missed. I'll tell you what, I'm historically not a big fan of going back and watching games again, just because once I've seen it, I know what's going to happen. I'm good. I don't need to see it. This one I'm going to go back and watch. Mostly just because I think there were moments of adrenaline where I blacked out and I don't remember certain plays. So we're going to find out. And Bain says here, got lucky. I'll tell you what, I'll take lucky over being good every single day of the week. And you can't convince me otherwise. Sonny, anything else you want to get off your chest here before we bang out a couple of segments?
No, let's get to it.
All right, let's do it. Let's get to it.
The nicest man.
I'll tell you what, I just played the puppy for morale. I don't think I can pick anything bad about this football game right now. Just surely for vibe reasons only.
I'm good with that. Yeah, I'm not going to damper this sort of win and in any sort of way. Maybe that's for a Tuesday or Wednesday show where I can be a little bit more analytical. But today, I'm riding on vibes.
I am right there with you. Also riding on vibes. I just wanted to see the puppy. There's always something about that puppy that fires me up, man. It's always a good time. But let's continue this thing forward and keep having some fun.
The baddest man.
There's a lot of choices for the baddest man. And I'll tell you what, Sonny Verma, I'm going to go ahead and step aside and I'm going to let you take the low-hanging fruit if you want it. I think we probably got a similar name in mind. But I'll go ahead and give you the floor first and see what you have to say.
I mean, there's a couple guys I really want to say, but again, I think I'm going to avoid the low-hanging fruit just because I feel like I want to give it to Dennis Allen when it comes to the baddest man, only because I know how angry I was at him in that first half. When we're down 21-3, it seemed like the Packers were just running the same play over and over again, and we weren't making any sort of adjustments. And he figured out at some point in the second half, hey, the Packers are running the same play over and over again, made a couple adjustments, and all of a sudden, this Bears team only gave up 6 points in that second half. The entire defense stepped up. I know everyone's giving love to Caleb Williams. I know everybody's giving love to Ben Johnson, but you giving me the floor, I wanted to give love to that defense, which I think a lot of us were complaining about at halftime. Giving up 21 points in that first half, and they just didn't look impressive. But adjustments were made, and while the city of Chicago deservedly and understandably is waking up talking about Caleb Williams' 3rd and 8 throw or Ben Johnson winning his first ever NFL playoff game, I wanted to give love to Dennis Allen because if I'm going to be angry at him in that first half and say that he didn't come prepared, then I got to give him his flowers in that second half, because it's because of those adjustments that Caleb Williams was put in a position where he could make plays that mattered to win that game.
Well said. And you know what? I think that's a great point, because I think so often details like that get lost over the course of the game, right? And when we're reacting, and I think the last Green Bay game felt very similar, right? Where they came out and they had a good game plan for this team in the second half. They had, kind of that bend don't break mentality. They really stepped up in the run game, and we've got the real Daryl here in the comments said a little bit earlier that they pulled an Atlanta or Detroit move with the loss last night, but says up 21-3 at the half. You're supposed to run the football, not pass the football like you're in the indoor football league. First off, they run the shit out of the indoor football league. I know I used to color commentate in the indoor football league. But secondly, I'll tell you what though, but when the Bears were completely stuffing the Packers run game in the second half, you forced them to have to throw the football. That's what the Bears want you to do. That's how they create turnovers. That's how they, are able to stop the clock. And they forced Green Bay to have to get uncomfortable. And it's that uncomfortability. It's the, kind of almost not being able to fully put your foot on the throat of the Bears in the second half of your Green Bay that completely just turn the tides. And again, the crowd, I think the crowd cannot be understated from that game. And even Ben Johnson said it in the post game. Packers fans know it. And I'll tell you what, you could feel it through the television. And that doesn't happen a lot, where you can really feel the fans. There's something about that. And Scott with a great submission here for baddest man, King Cairo's 51-yard field goal in that wind. Yeah, man. That's
in a lot of ways, the crowd might be the baddest man.
Yeah,
that's really being real about it.
Yeah,
everybody. You're talking about on the Bears side, on the Packers side, and I'm not just talking about the coach. I'm not talking about the players, but again, all their post game shows, everybody, and it's hard. It's just like we don't want to give credit to Green Bay Packer fans for anything, so it must have twisted their stomach to give us that sort of credit. So yeah, in some ways, the baddest man might have been those people at Soldier Field.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point as well. Before I show Scott's comment and some of our other comments, I will share my baddest man then. I kind of wanted to take the low-hanging fruit here. And it would be really easy to do so, right? Caleb Williams was spectacular. He did a lot of good things. And continues again to kind of put the superhero cape on. And really do some things that are just unbelievable. And we've seen that all year from him, right? And his ability to be poised late in games. And frankly, we got a taste of this when he was a rookie, right? I think back to that Washington game that, of course, yes, they lost in horrendous fashion, but what goes lost in that was Caleb led them down the field to give them a chance to even have the lead in that game when neither team could find offense when it was all said and done. But I'm not gonna take the low-hanging fruit either, Sonny. And I think Infurious is in my head. So I'm slightly asked them to get out, but I'm also gonna comment here. Colston Loveland was amazing. And the fact that he is only a rookie is unbelievable. There was some stat that I saw last night. I think it was rookie tight ends to ever have like 9+ catches and like 130+ yards in a playoff game. And it's two names ever. It's Rob Gronkowski and it's Colston Loveland. And what company to be in, man, because that guy, talk about one of maybe, one of my favorite storylines from this season. Whenever this run comes to a halt, and we at least got one more game. But whenever this run comes to a halt, we truly get to sit back and reflect. The ascension of Colston Loveland is probably going to be one of my favorite things ever, because I remember all the posts from Colts fans in the first 6 weeks of the season about Tyler Warren. I remember the uncertainty that people had because he wasn't putting up the big stats yet and things like that. But man, oh man, you want to talk about clutch factor? There's two guys that wear red, and we our good Rams friend in the comments here, Cyber Johnny, noted a little bit earlier that they're absent from the playoffs this year because I think their witch dark magic underneath Arrowhead finally wore off after a decade. But there's a pair of guys in Kansas City that have made a career on that exact thing, that exact connection, that knowing where they're going to be. It was always 15 to 87. Where's Kelsey? Where's Kelsey? Where's Kelsey? I think Bears fans are going to be on the right side of it, and a lot of teams are going to be on the wrong side of it going forward, because it's going to be, where's Loveland? Where's Loveland? Where's Loveland? Because they're going to go to him time and time again, and you're going to see games like last night from the young man where he becomes Caleb's favorite option, and they're just playing pitch and catch the entire time.
I think 3 legacies started yesterday. Everyone knows about the Ben Johnson winning his first playoff game and Caleb Williams. I mean, that's been a story all season long. I think the Colston Loveland legacy started officially. I think he introduced himself to the national fan base, the people who weren't watching every single Bears game. This kid didn't just look good. And this is for those of you who aren't Bears fans who are just tuning in to see how the Bears are celebrating that victory last night. He's been this good for the last month. He's legitimately already, he's a top 10, if not a top 5 tight end already in the NFL. And I think you put it perfectly. Caleb has found his Mahomes to Kelsey. And this connection, I hope, of course, he had that surgery in the offseason, so he had that slow start. And as you said, both of our algorithms, our feeds were bombarded by Colts fans saying, "Thank you, Bears. Thank you, Bears." Now it's like, I just want to respond with that, Colin Coward memes. Like, no, we're good. Enjoy Tyler. I'm sure he's going to be a fantastic football player for you.
Yeah.
But we're good.
We're okay.
Colston's very, very good.
Colston is very, very good. It's a lot of fun, man. Before we get to our next comment, want to highlight some of the comment section as well. You guys have been popping off all show long. City's board here said 15 years since a playoff win. Yep, not anymore. It's about not even 24 hours since the last playoff win. Scott from Iowa, a good friend of ours, says teams that have scored 25 points in the fourth quarter of the playoffs or Super Bowl. It's the Patriots against Atlanta and last night, and that's it. So some incredible, incredible company. Happy birthday to Dixon, 20 years old today. And again, yes, Loveland was amazing. We'll bring that comment back. Y'all be back at the division really soon. That's okay. Until then, we're going to enjoy it. Antonio says, how happy are the Bears fans? Incredible. We are over the moon. And this one's fun from Axel. Greetings from Sweden. My kids and I sat up between 2 and 6 a.m. to watch the game live. What an amazing end. Credit to you. And yeah, what an amazing game when it was all said and done. Just like Broski Bear says here, most amazing game I've ever seen. Loveland runs routes like a wide receiver. He sure does. And Scott from Iowa. Colston Loveland had more receiving yards in his first playoff game than Travis Kelce ever had in a playoff game. That's also pretty incredible as well when it's all said and done. And finally, from our co-host, Mr. Quentin Crisco, George Kittle was my ceiling comp for Loveland, and man, he's looking like it. Sure is. He's looking like a hell of a player. Sonny, let's get to one more here before we round this thing out.
Keys to victory.
I'm sure anybody that listens to Bears on Tap regularly would know that neither one of us were on this week's preview show. And in fairness, Quentin, Brendan, Samir did a great job because they changed it up a little bit, right? It was the third time we were seeing the Packers. Didn't want to get repetitive of things. We picked out players that had the most pressure on them, guys that could be unsung heroes, a lot of great things. So not necessarily a traditional keys to victory. So Sonny, what I'm going to ask you, in your opinion, what was your key to this victory? What had to happen no matter what for this Bears team to pull off what they did last night?
I'm trying to think of something that is quantifiable. Maybe it just keep the score close. At this point, I think between our quarterback and the guys who are giving the plays to the quarterback, I can't even say that because the score was like 21-6 coming into the fourth quarter. It wasn't even close. The Bears team just absolutely did it. I don't know if I have an answer for that. It's just simply one of those where the Bears got it done. I would have said to all the keys to the game that I would have had was have a fast start. Don't let what happened last time happen. But they didn't have a fast start. It was 21-3. So it's like every key to the game that I possibly would have had, or I said, hey, you have to do this in order to win this third game. They didn't do. And they still won. And that's why this team is so much fun to watch.
Indeed. And, you put it perfectly, right? I think in my head all season long, just given the comeback nature that we've seen of this Bears team, it really has been hey, keep it close. Give them a chance. That's all you really need to do, especially in that second half. And yet this game, they did kind of defy some of that. And there was maybe a little bit of black magic in the air last night that favored Chicago for once. And We'll take it, right? We've been on the other end of that far
Right.
more than we've been on the right end.
I'm not going to apologize.
No, there's no apologies necessary. But I'll tell you what, we appreciate good Packers fans like Tall and Lakey here. Still hurting as a Packers fan. Says congrats though. Hope you guys win it all. And there's something to be said about that too. Like if I'm going to be brutally honest, and I know this is going to taste like vinegar coming out of my own mouth as a Bears fan. Had the decision gone the other way of this football game, I probably would have felt the same way. Like I would have wanted the Packers to keep winning because then at least if you lose to a potential champion, it feels a lot better when you're the one losing it on the way to what feels like destiny, right, for a certain team. So I think it certainly feels that way as well. And I'll tell you what, I'm right there with you, Sonny. Like I think all of my keys, and I'll tell you what, I will say this about the fast start thing though. It was good that they got points on the first drive.
Sure.
Because I think we watched this Bears team really sputter the last handful of games early to the point where it was like almost borderline embarrassing, right? I think that's the biggest key here when it's all said and done, and it's going to be crazy. And yeah, this was, I think, a great key as well from Quentin. He says, take away the run game and force them to keep throwing. Trust DA to confuse Love, and I think they did a great job at that. And we're able to, again, keep the Packers guessing a little bit. Like Scott from Iowa says here, the halftime adjustments that we've been begging for as fans for years. They're flipping it every game, and main reason for a 7th comeback win this season. It's absolutely undeniable. West Coast for Life says bandwagon. Hey, hop on, man. And if anybody needs to hop on, absolutely hop on. It's worth it. And Axel here from all the way from Sweden says best feeling to be on the other side of a Rodgers-like comeback. Yeah, it does feel nice. I still remember, us sitting here talking to Quentin, who obviously the guys here for Bears on Tap do a great job with the Building the Board project. And I remember with the Caleb Williams draft, and everybody's like, his comp is Aaron Rodgers. And I'm like, you know what? I want one of those toys on our side of the rivalry for once, damn it. And it's nice. It's really nice to see that going the other way. And I like Broski Bear's thought here. He says, realistic goal for the Bears in the first half, score 10 to 13 points, keep your opponents under 20 in the first half. And I think that's a good model. Yeah. To me, the key for almost every game in this playoffs would be keep it within one possession if you can, because we know that they can come back and do it. I mean, shit. When it's all said and done. West Coast says here, all of a sudden Bears fan come out of the woodworks, bandwagon. I'll promise you right now, West Coast, I've been on this show since 2021, and this show's been around since 2019. There's no bandwagoning over here, man. We've rode the wave of this crazy thing over the last 6+
franchise.
years.
You're talking about the Bears fans.
There's no bandwagon here, man.
I've been on the season ticket waiting list for like 15 years at this point. My name's still not called. No, there's no bandwagoning when it comes to the Chicago Bears team.
No, it's the one fan base that you'll never see. And Axel, Bears fan since '88. That's awesome. That's freaking awesome to see when it's all said and done. I must ask you, Sonny, any final thoughts here before we round this show out and move on to next week?
Ron, I feel like my role, in this group that we have with the Bears on Tap show is just kind of more of this simplified fan version. You and Q are just absolutely brilliant when it comes to the X's and O's. And Samir is very good at pointing out, big picture sort of things. Me as a fan, all I can say is I can kind of just turn my brain off the rest of the season. Like at this point where we've come so far and proved so many doubters wrong, including a lot of us amongst, in the beginning of the season, this team started 0-2. And still, I talk about this all the time. It was one of the most depressing post games I've ever done after that second loss. And yet they've turned me into a believer. Now, at this point, as you and I talked about earlier in the season or earlier this episode, I'll sit back and watch the football games today. And whoever you tell me the Chicago Bears are going to be playing next week, that's fine. Bring it. I can't wait. Tell me what the spread is. I don't care. You can tell me it's Bears being favored. You can tell me the Bears are a touchdown underdog. It doesn't matter. Once you hike that football, it's time to play that football game until there's zeros on the clock. Then I'm going to look up at the scoreboard and see who won.
Ain't that the truth? And to your point, Sonny, no matter who the Bears played in the first round, they shared the opening lines. The Bears were dogs against every potential opponent.
Oh,
So it didn't matter. They were going to be coming into the game as an underdog by Vegas's terms anyway. You still got to go out and play the game and get it done. Incredibly, incredibly well said. And yeah, kind of just quickly, I guess my final thought will just be laying out kind of the what's next. There's a lot to watch today. Half of the other half of the quarterfinal matchup is almost set with the Rams winning. They're either going to Seattle or they're coming to Chicago, completely dependent on what happens in the 3 versus 6 matchup today, which is the 3:30 game in Central Time Zone. It will be Eagles and Niners. If the Niners win that game, 49ers will go to Seattle in the quarterfinals, and the Rams would come to Chicago. If the Eagles hang on, it's the boys from the city of brotherly love coming to the city of broad shoulders and taking on the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. So it would be Eagles and Bears at Soldier Field if the Eagles are able to take care of business today. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. And then the rest of the AFC picture gets to start getting shooken out today after the 2 NFC games yesterday. So we'll be on the lookout and seeing what happens there as well. As always, we appreciate everybody in the comment section. We appreciate everybody listening along. Chicago Bears won an incredible football game. I'm running on about 2.5 hours of sleep. I might even go back to bed after this game and dream about this Bears team because this season has been so fun and it's not over yet. We'll be back on Tuesday with a preview for the playoff matchup, no matter what happens and who wins today. And we can't wait to talk about it and get ready for that one. As always, we appreciate everybody. Head over to YouTube, like, subscribe, hit that little bell button on the On Tap Sportsnet YouTube page. You'll know when all of our great shows go live, including Bears on Tap right here. In addition, of course, we appreciate everybody. Head over to ontapsportsnet.com as well and check out all of our great writing. And if you like us and you listen to us in podcast form, we would appreciate a 5-star rating and review. Sonny, it was a fun football game. Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, and the Chicago Bears have taken care of business and won a playoff game. It's going to be electric. Okay, West Coast, it was Andy Dalton and then it was Justin Fields because they tried to save their jobs. Jesus Christ, get over it. Just found your channel, first time here, Broski Bear. Subscribed. We appreciate the hell out of you.
Appreciate you,
we
sir.
Appreciate the hell out of everybody else. Sonny, what do you say? Bear down, baby.
Bear down, Ron. Bear down.